Hello everybody. I'm very happy to introduce this first session of 3 days symposium. This first session on Africa SDG data mapping, and I'm delighted to introduce you, so maybe myself first and then introduce my colleagues here. I'm Veronica Ruiz. I'm working for the International Union for Conservation of Nature, and I'm based in Switzerland in HQ. And I have the pleasure of introduce Dr. Ahmed, who is online, based in Cairo, working for SEDARE, along with Ayman Abouamer, also working in SEDARE, and Charles Sebukeera, who is the regional coordinator for Africa for the UN environment based in Nairobi, Kenya. So after the presentation, maybe
I have already been introduced, and of course we have got the pleasure and the challenge of being the first presenters in this very important symposium. And I would just like to indicate that the African Environment Information Network actually has been growing with the High on Earth. We were among the first networks which were introduced in Abu Dhabi when the predecessor of the High on Earth was launched in Abu Dhabi. So I'm delighted to note that it has continued to grow, and I think it is becoming stronger and stronger, judging from the level of attendance. So I'm not going to go through the very lengthy background of the African Environment Information Network. But in brief, it is now the framework for capacity development in Africa for environment information management. And it is not an initiative of the UN environment. It is an initiative of the African Ministerial Conference on Environment, which is the apex body on environmental governance in Africa. So this actually, I think it underpins the importance that the African ministers find in having information support for their decision making. It was launched in 2003. That's quite a long time ago. But if you look at Africa, it has got one of the lowest per capita investment in data and information collection in the whole world. So we are coming from a very low level of development in this area, and to reach where we have reached has been quite significant because of the partnerships which we have adapted in the implementation of the information network. It is active in 23 countries. I will not name them because there are very many countries in Africa. There are 54 actually. So 23, you have not even gone halfway yet. So the key objectives, first of all, is to strengthen the capacity for managing and using environmental data for decision making, and also to facilitate access to environmental data and information to improve knowledge and public participation in decision making. It is also to assist the implementation of the objectives of the environmental component of the national development programs and the African Ministerial Conference decisions, and to generate products and services to ease availability of information for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, what actually led to this thinking? First and foremost, the architecture of the the African Environment Information Network is that it builds from national networks. So at the national level, there is a similar infrastructure for environmental information and data exchange, similar to that at the regional level. So we have got the vertical linkages and the horizontal linkages. Now the horizontal linkages is what constitutes the regional environment information network. That is the linkage between the countries. But at the national level, there is also horizontal linkages between the sectors. And the purpose was that this was to maximize and optimize the investment in data collection, so that you don't have duplication of, for example, sectors at the national level collecting similar data sets. One sector collects a data set which can be shared among other sectors. So this implied that there will be need for setting standards for those kind of data, so that the people who are using this data are confident about the quality of the data they are using in their what? In their planning. So naturally, in essence, this required designing some platforms to enhance the exchange. And of course, that platform will be presented, especially for the SDGs, will be presented by my colleague, Dr. Ayman. And I will also be highlighting some key infrastructure of the network, which emphasizes the role of specific institutions, which we are calling centers of excellence. We have got 6 centers of excellence in Africa, which are actually underpinning the work of the African Environment Information Network. And one of them is the Center for Environment and Development in the Arab region and Europe, which is SEDAR. And then we have got another center of excellence, which is focusing on policy and science interface, how you get science into the policy process. And a representative from that center is also here, Eglen, but she will be making a presentation on Wednesday. So the UN environment in Africa is seen on the ground. So we use collaborating centers as a multiplying effect. We have managed to get the key elements and components of the UN Environment Program of Work into the program of work of these centers. So they are contributing very significantly to the work of the UN environment. And the network also forms the forum for information exchange and learning from each other. Okay, peer learning. Like I told you, there are 54 countries in Africa, and all of them are different levels of development with respect of environmental information management. When you look at South Africa, is way up there. You look at Egypt, is way up there. But you look at South Sudan, is way down there. Okay? And there are others, Central African Republic, which is way, way down. And now, how much money do you think the UN environment needs to really bring South Sudan to a closer level to South Africa? I don't think we can have that kind of money. But if you remove someone from South Sudan and took him to South Africa to peer learn from his colleagues, I'm sure he can jumpstart the capacity development process. There are very good people also in South Sudan who are quite educated and they know what to do. And if you pair them with the countries which are doing very well, they can move very, very quickly in the context of developing their capacity to manage environment information. The network also is a framework for South-South collaboration. What I've just highlighted is South-South. South Sudan, South Africa. That is South-South still. Then we also have North-South from the developed colleagues. We have got centers of excellence globally, which we call grid centers, the UN Environment Grid Centers. So this provides a framework for those grid centers to support specific institutions. For example, one of the strongest supporters of environmental information in Africa is one of the grid centers in North America, in South Dakota. That's Grid Arendal. Grid Sioux Falls. And then we have another one which is very strong on science policy, which is Grid Arendal. The one which can help in packaging information strategically to respond to certain specific questions which are being asked by policymakers. Policymakers are very impatient. If they're asking for information today, he's going to Parliament. If you give it to him tomorrow, it will be useless. He wants the information now because he has got a parliamentary session in the afternoon. So you have to find a way of packaging that information quickly and give it to him so that he goes and articulates issues in Parliament from an informed point of view. Training and skills development. This we have been working on very well with SEDARE specifically. And the information products and services which we are talking about are those ones which are highlighted above. The state of environment reports, most of the countries in Africa, it is it's a legal obligation for an institution which is responsible for environment to publish the state of environment of that country at a certain periodicity, 2 years, 5 years, but most of them are 2 years. So the national networks actually support the production of those kind of products. By the way, a network is useless unless there's something which gels it together. Even us, I on Earth, we always keep coming together here because we have got some common interest. Okay, we want to learn what is the emerging technology to improve our data management out there when we go out in the field. At the national level, what gels these people together, the networks together, is the state of environment report. Because every department in government has got an obligation to showcase its performance in that report. That is the report which is presented to Parliament, highlighting the environmental performance of that country. At the regional level, we have got the Africa Environment Information Outlook, which is another flagship product of the African Ministerial Conference on Environment. So at every regular session, they want to launch their report. So the network at the regional level actually works on this report. And each of the collaborating centers has got specific responsibilities in this report. And of course, at the global level, we have the Global Environment Outlook. And it is our input from the regional network which provides the Africa picture into the global outlook. Some of those highlighted above are complementary products which address specific audience. And all these products need innovative way of presenting data. The policy people are not interested in data. They're interested in information. So it's up to us who deal with data to tell the policy people what that data means. A lot of graphs and statistics are not very useful to a minister. Actually, it puts him off. What the minister needs is colors and graphics. So that if he sees a graph is going up, he says, is it good or bad? That's all he needs. Good is good for him if it is in his constituency. Bad, how bad is it and why? Colors, why is my neighboring constituency red and mine is some other color? That's all. But before you put those colors on the map, you have gone through a lot of data analysis. Okay, there's a lot of backhand which is going on. And to project a good picture, you need to pull together a lot of data sources to give you what? The picture. And that is the essence and the benefits we derive from belonging to this forum. When you go out there in the booth, you will see what's out there in the world. And I think when you go back reassured that I think you're not doing the wrong thing. So the implementation, we have got country-specific implementation strategies, development of common approaches, so that you at least introduce some level of standards, to underpin the exchange of the information. You cannot exchange information which are developed on different standards. And then, of course, data indicator development for SDG monitoring. The SDG indicators are already there. We know them, they have been defined. I think what we need to assist the countries is to ease the capture of the data which is relevant for those indicators and targets and goals. So Dr. Ayman will be presenting a very simplified tool which we have developed for the countries, and it is very user-friendly because actually people at the country level do not want complicated things. When I was still in government, you send me a questionnaire which is more than 2 pages, I don't answer. Because that's another assignment. I already have a lot of stuff. So the same thing with collecting this data. The SDGs is just a new stamp. When people talk about SDGs as if it is a new invention. No, SDGs are old things. The data, the way you are packaging it, has just been more prescribed in a better manner. And what we can do is to simplify how you capture the relevant data and just a number. I don't think it is very difficult to update a number every year if you're at national level. So I've already highlighted the need to rely a lot on partnerships, national level implementation. We can sit in Geneva, Nairobi, New York, unless the decisions made in these places are domesticated. They have no impact on the environment. So that's why we emphasize national level implementation. How do we get these things which we decide at a very high level into the mainstream of the what? Of the country development. So these are some of the initiatives which we are building on as a network. And that is the infrastructure, which very simplified of how we have structured the implementation of the network. As you can see, the main output which gels us together are those assessments, and we are putting those on open platforms, so that you do not need to run around looking for. Once you go to that platform, you should be able to access reports from all the different countries. Ayman will demonstrate how we have designed that platform for ease of information. And of course, the platform is heavily underpinned by the big data, which the UN environment is focusing on enhancing. And ultimately, we do hope that this time around, when we're reporting on SDGs, we should not be having so many blanks in the African countries. Because you go to a data set on an open platform, you find a quarter of the countries in Africa, the data is not available. NA, dash. So how do you prepare a report on the region when a quarter of the countries do not have data on those kind of variables? So I think from here I can invite my colleague, Dr. Ayman, unless there is a burning question, and I think Dr. Ahmed is also out there. He can interject at an appropriate time, but maybe while Ayman is trying to access the internet, because the tool which we have developed is actually live. Okay, it is live. It can take you into country portals. You can navigate in the country portals for the relevant information you want. So once you have got that kind of mechanism to navigate through country portals, it should be easy for you now to synthesize a report from input from the country level. So,
good morning. As mentioned, Charles, in Africa we start to build a tool to collect the data from all the countries in Africa. The most important thing was to build a very simple tool for all users to can put input their data in a predefined form. The idea is to make a focal point in each country, and this focal point will be responsible for collecting the data from his country and to build the database in the tool. Each country has its permission and privilege, and no country can make an edit or updating for other country. The tool consists of 4 main modules: the input module, the searching dashboard, and the admin who can update and edit in the data. We will navigate in the tool here for all the African countries. The user can choose his country and start to input the data, and then he can choose the indicator. For each country, it will be the user and the password. And enter the password. Just he log into the system. For each country, there is the focal point who is responsible for the data, for the SDG data in his country, and starting to input the data in the form, the institution name, the institution department, the contact person, telephone, email, website, indicator value, the unit, the year of the SDG, the description and note about the data. Just he inputs the data. For example, once he inputs the data will be stored in the database. He can register to another indicator, or just he fills this SDG indicator. Just he finish, all the data will be stored in the database. We can search for any country in our database. We can select, for example, Kenya. And show all the data. We can make logical searching, like select country and select an indicator. The country, the indicator, the institution name, department, contact person, telephone, email, website, indicator value, indicator unit, and the year of collecting the data. All this data can be reported in multiple forms, like to export the results in Excel or PDF files or be printed. The next module is the dashboard. We have a map show all countries with the reports they submitted. For example, if we take Cameroon, the available report 2018, if we click, we can download if it's there. For Togo, available 2016 and 2017 and 2018. It can be downloaded from the tool. Also, if we have a database, we must have a tool to update the data or make any modification for the data. So there is a module for the administration. The administration module allows each country to update their own data based on any changes maybe happen. Here, for any indicator, we can edit the data, change the value or change whatever in the database or delete the record. In the dashboard also we have a map show the distribution for the reports available in each country. Also there is graphs. The graphs are dynamic with the database where every country inputs their indicators. The graph will be updated with the values to compare the values in all countries. So up till now we have these 10 graphs for these countries, and every time they are updating for the data or input the data, the graphs will be dynamically updated with the new value in each country. This is basically the basic tool or the simple tool we started to work on in SIDARI to build a framework for the network to collect the data from different countries. One thing is it will be a mobile application tool available for all users to can follow what are be updated in our database. Okay, this is the tool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ayman. I think now we can open up the forum for the session for questions and answers, comments, advice. We are really, this is a work in progress. So, questions are welcome.
Good morning. My name is Hadi from the organization of the UN Environment. Wanted to know, given the data sets that at the platform that he just demonstrated, at the country level, do you have one focal point? Is it spread around, this is one question, is it spread around different line ministries? How do they contribute to the indicators, and how do they form a report for the country? What are the steps? I'm curious to know, because this was a debate that we just, a discussion that with other colleagues that we just had outside before coming in, that countries reporting on their progress and implementing the SDGs have fragmented entities, and we need an integrated approach to have a holistic reporting for our country. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Charles and Dr. Ayman. I enjoyed the presentation and the system. My question is that mostly on, this is a regional, it seems to me this is a regional platform, right? And can it be adapted to the national level, and the different institutions can contribute their own data? So the idea, I think, of providing a platform and let the stakeholder fit in that data and manage their own data, but they have a platform to do it. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
As you are aware that Africa has its own agenda 2063, and a list of indicators was already developed, and even work was done with UNECD to have a minimum list of indicators, and to avoid duplication and to avoid even the headache for member states. Did you proceed to work on the both indicators identified by UN and because for the statistics division they have their own focal point, and now you say that you will work with focal point at national level. Do you have mechanism, yes, a mechanism to reduce the duplication for EUC and UN. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to overload my brains, remembering all the reactions. Maybe let us first react to this part 3. Dr. Heyman, if you can join me here. We have a couple of things to take care of as well. Yes, let me start from the concerns raised by my colleague from the UN Environment Legal Division. Actually, you're right. In most of the countries, the responsibilities for reporting on SDGs, all the SDGs, is the Ministry of Planning. So there's somebody in the Ministry of Planning whose responsibility is reporting on SDGs. They just said SDGs, so there are so many. But here, what we're dealing with the environment-related SDGs only. And the capacity we're building is for reporting on environment-related SDGs. And our national focal points are in the ministries of environment or the environment protection agencies. And from each of the countries, you saw even the pictures were there. So once you go on to the country portal, it will show you the person who is responsible for reporting environment-related SDGs. And that is the target of our capacity building. We are not reporting on all the SDGs. SDG 1, those are in the Ministry of Planning or something. And we're only trying to enhance the capacity of countries to report on environment-related SDGs. Very good question from our colleague Hadel. I know you are the architect of the African Environment Information Network in its early days. But yes, of course, like I told you, the infrastructure is constructed at the country level. So what you can do at the regional level, you can also do at the country level. So the most important thing is to manage the back end. Okay, what goes on before something is displayed for the public to consume. So once there is somebody with access protocol who can do the changing and all this kind of thing, that is our focal entry point to the national network. And then there can also be a similar infrastructure at the national level. Actually, originally for us, we were focusing only on building country environment information networks. This one is just an upgrade, okay, upscaling of what happens at the country level. Yes, agenda, my colleague from the legal division will also, I guess, feel free to support us here, because even before the UN, the SDGs, Africa actually already gone through the rigor of identifying all of the goals and so on which are relevant to Africa. So in most cases, what was identified for 2063 actually went wholesale into SDGs. So if you are looking at the targets, there will be no much variation. And in any case, for us, we're only focusing on the environment-related SDGs. So I don't know what our colleague from the legal division looks at this, because this is marked in the area of responsibility.
Thank you, Charles. Yes, it is marked in our area of responsibility. And I have another question that I jotted down from one of your slides on the expected outputs. It says reporting to international conventions and processes in bracket NEA. I know we are responsible for some of these indicators at our level for the environmental dimension of SDGs. For example, 12.4.1, for example, we have BRS, that is a convention that is UNEP administered NEA. My other question is, I recognize that linkage. My other question to that is, how do you, I don't know how to frame it, how do you help the countries in the African countries harness information from the NEAs they are parties to, and make that alignment in creating data for recognizing like indicator recognition or something. I don't know how to better frame it, but yes.
That question actually is what led to the creation of the network. Like I told you, the main effort was first of all at national level to harmonize the collection process, because it appeared as if each time there was a requirement to report on an MEA, there was a stampede to go around and collect information. And in most cases, they were collecting similar information. Okay? So, first of all, people were already tired. Today you are reporting on the Biodiversity Convention, tomorrow you are reporting on the Climate Change Convention, the next day you are reporting on or maybe Aichi targets. Yeah. So, and in most cases, it is the same institutions who are responsible for that kind of reporting. So the first thing was to create a network where, once we know that this institution is very good in this subject area, okay, they are experts, IUCN, they are experts in biodiversity. Why do you also, from agriculture, also collect information on biodiversity? Why don't you use the one from IUCN? Okay? So this led to the thinking of maybe if we have a network and we know who is collecting what information, then we can design, we can define as a country what are the core data we require for reporting on the key, okay, MEAs, which we are obligated to report on. Once you have defined those core data sets, okay, then you go and identify, so which institution in this country is responsible for this core data set X, core data set Y, core data set Z, and so on. And then in that network forum, you agree that, okay, you will be responsible for this data set. So everybody in this network, once they want information on this subject, they come to you. Okay? Then that was the general principle on which the network was built, so that to remove that duplicity in information and data collection, so that you rely on centers of expertise to collect specific data sets which can be used by everyone in the country.
So in a nutshell, national reports from different MEAs form the basis of you getting those data sets.
Exactly. Yes.
But as you are aware that at national level there is statistical rules, and these rules identify who is the vis-a-vis to produce and to even disseminate statistics and information. It's better to work with them directly, not to identify.
No, they are member of the network.
Yes.
They are member of the network.
And yes. So I remember, but normally that they are the first point to identify the producer or the other producer of statistics and information.
Yeah.
It's better to respect this.
Actually, I think we needed a workshop on this subject. Because what you are talking about is actually embedded in the infrastructure. At each level, okay, there is a data working, there is a working group. There is a data working group which is chaired by the statistics department. So all this, before you put any information, okay, on the national portal, it is validated by the what? The National Data Working Group, which is chaired by the statistics department. At the regional level, there is also a data working group, which is chaired by the Center of Excellence, which in this case is SDGs. So they take all the due diligence to make sure that they have cross-checked this data, it has been validated at national level before it is uploaded. So all that there is quality control, because this is something which is going on an open portal, and you don't want to put up something there which will raise a lot of hell. Okay? So that one is taken. Yes, we can continue this discussion. I'm beginning to enjoy it, Marcelo. Yes.
Capacity building, how important is your work programs? Because all of this is quite useless if countries are not able to manage and to create interaction decision making. So, what is how strong is capacity building in your work program?
Actually, capacity building is the core of how we do things. So the network provides the framework for capacity building. So we identify core capacities which is required. Actually the individuals in most of these countries have got the capacity. Most of them are trained up to very high level. But the problem is the environment in which they work does not really utilize the capacity. So we look at each country on a country-by-country basis and say, why, for example, is surveys and mapping, why is it has never updated their maps ever since 1962 when the colonialists were there. So when you go to the original maps of a country, you find they were made in 1962. Why? And they are surveyors there, they are very highly qualified people there. And we look at those capacities and design interventions to enhance that capacity, because whatever surveys and mapping produces affects the quality of what everybody else produces. Okay? Because if you have got a wrong map, because the map is really for spatial data for spatial data analysis, you start with the map. So if the map has something which is wrong, already everybody is producing wrong information. So capacity is very core in what we do in the network. And this capacity is defined by experts, where they will say, okay, surveys are mapping to bring them to a certain comfortable level where you can go and get data which you don't worry about. They need this kind of investment. We have written specific investment programs for countries, and these have been financed. You take, for example, Uganda, we discovered what the problem was with data quality, especially originating from the capacities of the core data producers. And money was put there, $2 million, just to enhance the capacity of, for example, service and market, so that they can produce quality-based maps which everybody is comfortable. Others is data storage and capacity to exchange information online, capacity for using satellite-based information to enhance reporting at national level. All this is actually some of our areas of operation in private network is concerned. Yes, very like.
I'm Ekla Ntawaya from Southern African State Documentation Center. I just wonder, can there be also a similar structure at sub-regional level? for example, size, it's SADC level in North Africa, so that each sub-region has gotten an analysis that will then feed into the continental level. Thank you.
Very good question. Actually, thank God this infrastructure can fit anything. You can just change it and it will fit something. I'm not saying it's not like an octopus or something which can just change. But last week, I was in Abuja, and this is exactly what we're trying to form for the ECOWAS region. They have formed their own sub-regional environment information network for ECOWAS region. So last week we were meeting with all the heads of environmental agencies in the ECOWAS region together with their technical people who are the focal points for their regional environment information network. So yes, all the components of what is seen at the regional level can be downscaled to sub-regional level, and it works very well. Actually, it works even better because there is even more detail. You know, at the Africa level, it is a bit cost. The information is a bit cost. As you go down, the information gets more detailed and more relevant to the countries and the sub-regions as well. As you get down to the country, it even gets better because now you can go up to a scale of 1 to 50,000. Okay, 1 to 50,000, you are talking about municipalities and things like that. So as you go up to sub-regional level, you are to 250,000. You know, you are talking of national parks which are cross-border and so on. But as you go to the country, you are talking of 1 to 500,000. Which you will not, to just give you a general picture of what happens in Africa. Yeah, so yes, it can be done. Very good. I'm not the chair of this session, but Derek, you're in your hands now.